From relics of fallen regimes to ships that will never see the surface again, I'm Bob from World 5 List. Join me as I reveal 14 of the most creepy abandoned places in the world. Number 14, the House of Bulgarian Communist Party. Now, the rise of the Soviet Union brought a lot of change across Asia, and whole countries found themselves transformed under its banner. However, with the fall came relics that are still around and are still creepy. For example, we begin in Bulgaria, where in honor of the ruling party of the Soviet Union, the House of the Bulgarian Communist Party would be built. This massive building was not only a tribute, but also the meeting place of Bulgarian politics. Yet once the Soviet Union crumbled, the building became irrelevant and then abandoned. People began to steal things, including the roof paneling, and this would lead to nature having its course and adding to the ghostly creepiness of everything. The building still stands today. Number 13, DOMINO Sugar Factory. This was once one of the largest sugar refineries in the entire world, and yet, because of labor strikes, the factory would close in 2004. Now, the place is just plain creepy, and it doesn't really help that artists have branded the building in order to add to its texture. Yet, in the evening time, you can't help but wonder if the place is haunted or something else. From the color of the building to the setting, it's most definitely a creepy place. But most of all, it might just be a tribute to how nothing lasts forever, even as sweet as it may be. Number 12, the Floating Forest. This was an Australian steamship used in World War II and was set for dismantling not long after. Very standard stuff, really. It would be docked in Homebush Bay for that task, but then the dismantling yard got shut down, and with no one to move or remove the ships that were there, they just kind of remained. And when things remain, nature takes over. So it did, and now there's a full-on forest that grows out of the massive ship. It's both beautiful and really rather perplexing, because not only did people allow it to happen, the fact that trees were able to grow through steel and everything else and still live is really kind of insane. It just makes you wonder what you would see if you went through and looked inside. And now for a ghost town. But first, if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back and thank you. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe and join the World 5 family. Number 11, KOLMANSKOP. Now, we've all heard of ghost towns, however, there are some that are creepier than others, and KOLMANSKOP in Namibia is one that's definitely worthy of being a contender for the creepiest ghost town in the world. The place would be found by Germans in the 1900s, but why in Namibia? Well, in the place were a whole lot of diamonds. A whole lot of diamonds. And like any wealth rush, the people felt that they could make a fortune would make their way there and search for diamonds. By the time that World War I had ended, the diamonds were pretty much gone and people began to leave. That's where it gets creepy. You see, the town was next to a desert, and when no one was around to keep it up, the desert sands moved in. Literally. Now the buildings in the town are either all broken or full of sand that's several feet high. What's just as creepy, or even sad, depending on how you look at it, is that people have turned the town into a tourist attraction, with the buildings serving as a museum. Number 10, the MAUNSELL Sea Forts. Now, it's amazing what gets built for one purpose and then left to rot once the purpose has been served. In England, the MAUNSELL Sea Forts are exactly an example of that. Built near the Thames and Mersey rivers as measures to prevent Germans from surprising the British via air or naval attacks, they did a good job. And again, it makes sense that they were built for the purpose. However, after 1950, they were then decommissioned, but weren't taken down. So now the rusting behemoths simply become homes to many people. There were pirate radio DJs used it to broadcast, and even a sovereign state known as Sealand, because, you know, that's totally a thing. Number 9, the Wonderland Amusement Park. The park was intended to be constructed in China as a countermeasure to Disney World and Disneyland, and they even set up certain attractions that mimicked iconic Disney buildings, like Cinderella's castle. However, partway through the construction, it was halted because there were financial issues and land issues, along with complaints from nearby farmers, and it all led to the place basically going belly up before it could even launch. After the construction would stop, the nearby farmers took back the land for themselves, and now it's just literally a shell of its former self. The ironic thing is that the place is not only still there, but it's actually an attraction for a whole lot of people. Number 8, Pripyat. Ironically, it was once a thriving city featuring 50,000 people, but what happened? Well, it was next to Chernobyl. Yeah, that Chernobyl. So when the meltdown at the plant occurred, the city would be devastated and its population was fully evacuated. The town itself became irradiated to the extent that it had become uninhabitable by humans. So what's left is literally a ghost town that's full of radiation. And it also said to have a large set of wild dogs that roam around. So there, you're at your own peril and you have been warned. Number 7, the Chateau Miranda. Castles will always be seen as creepy if they're not well maintained, and when they degrade, they become super duper creepy. Such is the case as Chateau Miranda. This castle was actually built with noble intentions, meant to be a hiding place of sorts during revolutions, which is appropriate because the castle was built by French aristocrats. As time would go on, though, it found a new purpose, becoming an orphanage of all things, both before and after World War II, showing that a new purpose can sometimes be better than the one it was intended for. However, the good ended around 1980 when the place was abandoned without any real clear reason. The people that then owned the castle refused to let anyone maintain it, and because of that, it became the place that you see now. Oh, and it's also rumored to be haunted, and it's a popular place for ghost hunters to go and see what they can find. Number 6, the last house on Holland Island. No, it's not the title of a new blockbuster film. It's one that almost doesn't need a whole lot of description. The house was once part of a colony within Chesapeake Bay. However, as erosion began to tear down Holland Island, the houses on it were slowly taken down or taken out. Eventually, only one house remained. And really, it's a miracle that it lasted as long as it did. It looked like it would collapse at any moment, but yet it stood for a very long time. Eventually, though, nature would win, and in 2010, the house fell over. Number 5, an uninhabited island in Florida. Rich people are going to build just about anything if they think they can do it, and for oil producer Bob Lee, he decided to make some domed houses in Cape Romano, Florida. They would be his summer homes, and he did use them for a while, until he didn't. And now, they just kind of remain there, lurking. As for why they're creepy, the construction and design makes it creepy, and it makes you wonder what Lee was actually thinking about when he constructed them. Now, they're just standing there on the coast, and it makes them look like they were made by something other than humans. Number 4, Hashima Island. Japan, well, it's home to a lot of creepy places, including a town that's partially populated by life-size dolls, but that's another video altogether. When it comes to abandoned creepy places, Hashima Island has the country on lockdown. This place has a whole lot of nicknames, including Battleship Island and Ghost Island, and all for good reason. It was once a thriving coal mining town. It had everything, like schools and hospitals and restaurants and more. And then it all just ended, and it's a fraction of its former glory. The place is so creepy and abandoned, in fact, that it was actually used in the film Skyfall for the villain. Use what helps set the tone, right? Number 3, Michigan Central Station. You could argue that certain train stations are already creepy, especially when they're found underground. However, in contrast, Michigan Central Station stands as one of the most haunting train stations in the world due to its current state. Abandoned and not having been used for decades, the station is creepy both outside and in. The shame? Well, it's that the station once was a world record holder as the largest station in the world, and now it's almost literally nothing. The desecration of the place didn't help because people ransacked it and vandalized it whenever they could. Now, it simply stands as a creepy reminder of what once was, and even the people of Detroit are wishing that the place would go away. Number 2, the Marlboro Psychiatric Hospital. You knew there was going to be some kind of psychiatric hospital on my list, and Marlboro Psychiatric Hospital makes it near the top because of its sordid history. The place would run for 67 years, and throughout that time, numerous mysterious reports about what was really going on at the hospital would surface. The hospital did have cases of patients disappearing with really no explanation as to where they went, and if that's not creepy enough, it also had multiple cases of people dying under the most odd of circumstances, including choking to death or even freezing to death. In fact, it got so bad there had to be an official investigation as to what really happened there, yet it didn't matter because the hospital would live on for a long time. Thankfully, it was eventually shut down, which arguably made it even more creepy. Number 1, Isla de las Muñecas. Now, if you can't tell from the pictures, it's literally called the Island of the Dolls, and has a history as creepy as its present state. The caretaker of the island once found a dead girl's body floating right outside the canal of the island, and after he buried her, he felt that he was actually being haunted by the little girl. So, in an attempt to try and appease her, he began making and collecting dolls, hanging them up all over the island so that she would have something to play with. But wait, it gets even creepier. First, the caretaker himself would die in the very same canal that he found the girl's body. And second, people who visit the Island of the Dolls swear that they see the dolls move around. Whether it be in their eyes or just in their head, they swear that the dolls are alive. So, is it their minds playing tricks on them? Or is the spirit of the girl still present? I guess we'll never know, but I'm here to say this is officially the creepiest abandoned place on Earth. Thanks for watching. Have you ever been to any of these creepy places or had creepy experiences in an abandoned building? Let me know all about it in the comments below. Remember to subscribe, and I'll see you again soon.